Good morning everyone, welcome to today's press conference to preview tomorrow's match at West Ham United. We'll start with Sky Sports and James Green. Morning James.
Morning mate, morning Andy, how you
Morning
doing?
James, yeah good thank you.
Start with Storm Eunice that's causing all sorts of chaos across the country. Has it been any disruptions to your travel plans at all?
Not at the moment, but we know how things can change very quickly, so we're planning to fly down to London this afternoon, but we'll wait and see if there's any change to our flight. We're prepared to travel by coach if needed, so yeah, we're waiting to see on that.
Is it a bit frustrating at the moment, just kind of waiting to hear what's going on?
No, not really. I think we're as I say, our plans are unchanged at the moment. I think the only disruption we've had this week has been that our training has been disrupted by heavy winds. Our training ground is exposed to the wind anyway, so it's been slightly difficult this week in very strong winds. But nothing else has affected us, so we're all good.
On the football front, some bad news with Kieran Trippier's injury. Can you give us an update on that and how long you expect him to be out for?
Yeah, so the update is that he had his operation yesterday and that went well. So that was good news. I don't know at this moment in time how long he's going to be out, but we obviously hope to have him back before the end of the season. But obviously it's a significant injury, which is a big blow to us because he was performing so well.
Have they given you any sort of timeline on his recovery at all?
No, as I say, we hope to see him before the end of the season. But in terms of a definitive time, no. We're going to have to see how his early rehab goes. As I say, the operation was a success, but it's an opportunity now for someone else to step up in his place. But certainly we're gonna miss his leadership skills on the pitch and everything that he was delivering for us. He scored 2 goals in the last 2 games, which have been defining moments for us. But we're confident we have enough quality in the squad to cover.
How much of an influence has he been around, not just like the playing squad, but also around the club since his arrival?
Yeah, he's an inspirational figure, and I think certainly from knowing the young Kieran when I first started to work with him to the Kieran now, I think he's changed and developed many facets of not just his game, but his personality, and can't compliment enough on everything that he achieved in his career, how he's gone about it to lead him to the person that he is now. I think the players have found him an inspirational figure, but that won't change. He's not necessarily be on the training pitch with them and in the pitch with him on game day, but for a period of time he will be supporting them from the training ground. He's still being in and around them in the treatment room, so he's got a big part to play, even though he's not actually on the pitch.
Are there any other injury concerns at all?
No, obviously Manquillo went off in the same game after landing awkwardly on his ankle following a header, but we don't think that's serious, but he will miss the game. But apart from that, we're sort of as we were.
Let's talk about the game then. Going up against David Moyes, a manager who came into a club that was battling against relegation. 2 years later, they're in the knockout stages of the Europa League and challenging for the top 4. Is that something you look at as emulate in your time here in Newcastle?
I think David's done an incredible job. When you look, as you say, when you look at the league position West Ham are in, and the noise surrounding the club at the time, I think he's done a brilliant job in calming everything down and just getting consistent results, which in turn has led to what it looks like from the outside, a very stable team, really good spirit within the squad, and they've delivered on a consistent basis. And they've had a number of games this season, and I think they've reacted really well to that as well. So full compliments to him and his staff and his players. We know how difficult this game is going to be for us. But on our recent run, with the confidence that we have, we know that we can, and we've proved, I think, in recent games that we can compete with anybody in the division. But we're going to need to at our very best levels again, especially physically, where, in my opinion, that's where we've excelled in the last few games. We're going to need to hit those levels again.
Does it help give the squad an extra motivation that 3 points lifts them up to 15th?
I think we've got all the motivation that we need. I don't think there's any added motivation for us. I think we know how momentum can change in football and how it can swing, and we've got a lot of experience in the squad, so there's no complacency. We know that every game's hugely important. So yes, we know the benefits of winning, and the players are very committed to giving their very best.
Final one from me. Away from football, Sky Sports box office this weekend, Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. Will you be watching at all? Are you a boxing fan?
I don't want to kill Sky Sports, but I've not really given it a second thought, to be honest. Focus has been on this game and preparing as well as we can do, so sorry to disappoint you on that. I've got no opinion.
I'm very disappointed.
I know, apologies.
Only joking. Thanks for your time, mate. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. Andy Sixsmith, PLP.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Just back on the football. Great win, obviously, against Villa, but how extra special was it for you not just to have the win, but have your family up in Newcastle for the weekend?
Yeah, it was really nice. And I think when you have those moments of isolated success, which a game is, it's an isolated moment, it's nice to share it with people that you care about the most. So to have my family with me was really, really nice. I had a good couple of days with my wife and my children, and then they went back. So it was a special time, yeah.
Glad to hear it. What's more pleasing, 3 straight wins or 2 straight clean sheets? Or 2 clean sheets in that time, right? Almost got it wrong there.
What's most pleasing? The 3 straight wins, I think, has to override everything, because in our moment we need points. But to do it with clean sheets and a stable defensive performance, even in all 3 games. I mean, the Everton game, I thought we were very good as well. Was hugely satisfying, and I just think a good marker for the players that we can deliver it when we're in a good place and we get everything right. And I think that is the challenge now. Of course, at the Premier League, you come up with different tests every week, different areas of your game are stretched, and we know that this is going to be a big test for us, because West Ham have very good attacking players. They're a big set play threat as well, so we're well aware of their strengths, and we're going to need another good defensive performance from the team. And I think that is what's given us the clean sheets. It's not been an outstanding effort from any one unit of the team. I think it's been everyone together, collective effort, and I think that's what's impressed me most.
Just on the defensive lineup, I suppose, what do you do defensively now that Jamal's recovered from his illness? He was playing well before, but then Dan Burn comes in and performs like he does against Aston Villa. What do you do with that?
Well, I'll have to make a decision that's best for the team. These are selection headaches that I want. I've got no issue making difficult decisions. I think you want a squad that's pushing and fighting each other. I think whoever plays knows that if they don't perform, they have a very good player waiting for their opportunity to get back in. So I think that's the culture you want to create, and probably haven't had enough of those tough decisions in my short time as manager here, purely from the fact that the squad has been stretched at certain times with injuries. So, but yeah, I think the squad's in a better place, and in terms of players are playing well, and there is real competition now to get in that starting 11.
And like you say, everyone knows how big a blow it is to lose Kieran for the foreseeable future. I know you talk about how he can influence even when he's out through injury. Have you already spoken with him about that, about corresponding with the team, about being on the training ground while he's out, or not? Yeah,
no, we've had a conversation about that. It was the first thing we discussed. And that's the type of person that he is. He wants to make a difference, and he wants to help, and he wants to lead. So, he'll have a big impact even if he's not playing.
And I suppose just finally, on the selection headaches, I guess, Bruno Guimaraes still awaiting his first start, but you've got a midfield trio in Shelvey and Joe Linton and Joe Willock who are performing miracles at the moment. What are your thoughts on the midfield right now? Yeah,
it's a really strong area. I think it's probably our strongest area in terms of personnel, because you add Sean Longstaff to that. I think there's every player would have an argument to say I deserve to start. So long may that continue. And I think the message on Bruno will start a lot of games for us, and I think will be a huge player. But this period where he's watching and learning from the Premier League, I don't think is a bad thing at all for him. Although he will be, I'm sure, frustrated because he wants to show everyone his talents. He'll have plenty of games to do that, especially with our fixture list on the horizon.
Top man. Thanks, Eddie. Best of luck for the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Alison McGowan, BBC Sport.
Hi, Eddie. I was just wondered whether you could just tell us how Kieran Trippier is. How's he coped with, obviously, what must be a hammer blow for him personally as well?
He's really good. I mean, he's a positive person. I think he was probably aware after the game that there was going to be an issue. I think he just had this gut feel that he got stamped on, and then he tried to play the second half, but he didn't feel right. And so I think he was aware there was a problem. But straight away, I think just his reaction to that wasn't one of head down, and he didn't take himself away in isolation. He was very positive because he was around the players and he was giving off good energy. And I think that's been him since day one here. The energy and positivity around him is, I think, infectious, and I think it's definitely affected the people he's been around. Hence a really positive reaction from the squad.
And is it sort of, obviously a lot of Newcastle fans are quite happy with how things are going, but I think this week there's always that kind of feeling of there's always a but with Newcastle given Trippier's injury. I just wondered whether you could assure them that you don't think it's terminal to your sort of chances of staying in the league by losing Kieran, and also with the fact that Callum's still out as well.
No, of course I wouldn't be sat here in the way that I am if I felt anything was terminal. No one player makes the team; it's the collective. And I think now with Kieran's injury, we have to step up and we have to give more. Everyone has to give more. I've had that plenty of times in my management career. You're always going to lose players, key players at big times. But it's the response from the squad that's the most important thing. And I've seen enough in the group to know that we're in a good place. And I think we've had a confidence lift from the way that we've played. And I don't expect that to change.
And just last of all, obviously you'll be well aware of his attributes, but there's been quite a few stats around this week about Joe Linton's impact in midfield, obviously from a more from a defensive point of view. I think one of the leaders of tackles and interceptions outside the top teams. Is that kind of sort of development, that progression from him to turn into this kind of player, and the fact that he can do all that defensive work, has that come as a surprise to you at all?
Yeah, I think I'd be lying if I said that I knew he was capable of that when I first started to work with him. As I've said many times, I think the first time that I was aware of his tactical understanding and how high that was the Norwich game, when he filled in, got Kieran sent off, and we changed to a 4-3-2 shape. So he played as an 8 that day, and obviously we spent a long time after the sending off without the ball. But his delivery of what we asked him to do was at the very, very highest level, and that was with very minimal tactical instruction from me. So that was even more impressive. So then when you get a chance to actually work with him on the training ground in terms of that position, his delivery of what we've asked him to do has been excellent. And I do feel defensively he's added a lot to the team. You look at his number of regains from second balls, his ability to recover long distances, his tackling and actually intercepting the ball has been of the highest level. So I think I can't praise him enough on that side. And I know there's more to come, in possession. I know there's more to come from the team in possession, not just from Joe. So there's exciting times ahead for him, I think, in that position.
He's a bit of an enforcer now, isn't he?
He's got a bit of everything, and I think that's the beauty of him. I don't think he's one-dimensional. So he can do all the defensive stuff, but also you look at him sometimes technically in tight areas, and his ability to manipulate the ball and get out of a really tight area where you think there's no way out. I think he's got that gift of being able to, probably from his upbringing, as I say, find a way out, find an escape route, and then switch the ball with his right foot across the pitch has been a huge weapon for us. And as I say, I think there's more to come from his attacking sense in that position, and I think he can score goals from there as well. So I'm really excited about the future for him.
Okay, thanks, Eddie. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alistair. Written guys, if you have a question for Eddie, can use the raised hand function, please. We're going to go to Alistair Gill at BBC Look North.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Obviously, the fans are really excited about Bruno. Are they likely to see a bit more of him in this next match, do you think?
Difficult to predict. Yes, hopefully. I'm keen to see him like everyone else is, but it has to be at the right time, and it has to be when the team needs him. And I think, as I said a second ago, for me, he's going to play a lot of games for this football club, and he's going to play a lot of games this season for this football club. At the moment, it's the midfield has worked incredibly well the last 3 games. I'm reluctant to make too many changes to the team when we're in a really good flow. But Bruno in training has already shown, how good he is and what he's going to bring to the team.
Looking from the outside, I imagine the mood must be a lot better now than it was, say, a month ago, just after the Cambridge defeat? Is it a much better atmosphere around the club? Are you feeling just happier about the work you're doing and how it's going?
I'd say, yeah. I mean, there's obviously a good feeling you get a lift when you win, but I'd say even before the 3 games that we've had, the spirit in the group, and I'm not just saying this, the spirit in the group was very good. I think there was a togetherness. I think there was a belief that we could get the results we need. I think there was a togetherness that you feel from a tight squad, which is what we have. We don't have huge numbers in players, but I think we have high quality players. And I think there was that feeling that we could achieve what we needed to do. Now we've just started that process and we're underway. Keep saying that we're very level-headed. The work this week's been good. There's been no let-up in terms of feeling that we've achieved anything. It's now on to another really tough game, and we need to make sure the lads have the same focus that they have done in the previous games.
All right, Eddie. No other questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Cheers.
Thanks, Alistair. Jordan Cronin, Newcastle World.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Emil Kraft played the second half last week at right back, and I'm guessing that could be the case at West Ham, given the injuries you've got in that position. Just what are your thoughts on Emil Kraft's ability, and do you believe he can perform well in those players' absence?
Yeah, 100%. I from starting to work with Emil, I really liked him as a person and as a player. I think you go back to the Manchester United game. I thought he was outstanding that day for us, both defensively and offensively. He's a really, really good athlete, and he's a very good defender. So now I'm delighted with Emil. I'm delighted to have him in the squad, and this is a good opportunity for him now to have a consistent run in the team.
Damien Spellman.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Eddie, given how well the last 3 games have gone, are you having to keep players' feet on the ground, or can you allow them their heads a little bit?
I don't think I've had to keep their feet on the ground because I think they're already on the ground. I think the beauty of the squad at the moment is you've got a lot of players who have been in this position many, many times for the club. So I think they understand the highs and lows that go with it, and I think the importance of not overreacting in any situation, whether it's good or bad, is key. So I've seen a group that's come back in, trained well, been focused. I've seen no sign of anyone relaxing or thinking that we're anywhere other than where we are, which is still in a relegation battle.
Craig Hall.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
With reference to Kieran, but also speaking in broader terms, can you talk to us about the role of the modern fullback and how they've come to have so much influence? You look at Kieran's impact at Newcastle, you'd probably say Cancelo is Man City's player of the season. You know, Chelsea before they lost Reece James and Ben Chilwell as well, the impact that has had. Why has the modern fullback become so important and integral to a team at both ends of the pitch?
Yeah, I think modern fullbacks, as you say, are. I think especially creatively, I think you look a lot of the time in your build-up play, they will be the ones that have to find the first pass to set your attack. They will be the ones that are under probably the biggest pressure by the touchline, surrounded by players, and they have to find a way out. And it's very easy to find a negative way out, but that doesn't help the team. And I think one of Kieran's big strengths was his positivity and progression of his passing, I think has helped the team. And then obviously from an attacking sense, a lot of your assists and your goals will come from your fullbacks in modern day football, and I don't see that changing. If anything, I see that increasing. So then when you add the defensive responsibilities on, and I think they have a hard job to get up and then back again, and certainly we ask a lot of our fullbacks here. It's an all-encompassing job, and that's why they're so important to every team.
Miles Starford.
Morning. You mentioned
Morning.
Matt Ritchie's out longer term. Can you just tell us a little bit more about his injury and how longer term you mean in terms of his timescale?
Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily longer term. I think Matt's in a good place. I don't think he's too far away from returning. I think it was a strange injury with Matt. I think he was just striking a ball and felt something in his knee. So he's had a period where he had to back right off and minimal activity, but he's running again in a straight line, and he's stepping up closer to being back full time with the group. So I anticipate he won't be too long.
Okay, last few raised hands. Lee Ryder.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Just a couple of quick ones, really. obviously 3 wins in a row gives you a lot of confidence. Ideally, you'd like to seal the deal early and get survival secured long before the end of the season. Is that an incentive for you now to get the job done early? And just secondly, on going to West Ham, you've got a sort of mixed record down there, I believe. What's it like playing at that stadium where the players are kind of so far away from the supporters?
Yeah, I think our aim is to win every game. We're prepared to win every game, so there's no let up in a sense that we know we need points. We desperately don't want to leave ourselves towards the bottom any longer than we have to, but we know that how difficult the league is at the same time, so we're going to focus on trying to get 3 points in our next game. West Ham ground is slightly unique. I think it's probably the furthest away you are from the crowd in any game. There's that feeling, sometimes a strange feeling, when you feel the crowd aren't necessarily involved in the game. But also, I've played there where the atmosphere's been red hot as well. So it can be different. But the players have been there. But the majority of the players have been there and experienced it before. So nothing new for them.
Chris Wolf, The Athletic.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Obviously, since Chris Wood's come in, he's done very well in terms of all-round game. You've talked about what he's brought, but last week, when initially he thought he had a penalty, he immediately went and picked up the ball. Does he seem like a striker who needs a goal? Do you think he needs that just to give him the confidence that his all-round game is bringing what you say it's bringing as well? Do you think he just desperately needs a goal as well?
I think, without speaking on his behalf, I'd say he would love to score. But I don't think that's a secret. I think that's any player. You ask any player in the team, they would love to score. The most important thing for me is that Chris is helping the team and making the team play better. And for me, since day one, he has. All the things that maybe people don't see, his ability to help us keep the ball in the opposition's half, his ability to make defenders, not just one defender, but possibly both defenders compete with him and distract them from other players that we have in the team. So I think he's been a huge physical presence for us. I think he's worked extremely hard. And again, his delivery of our tactical plan from the pressing side, which I think we've really excelled in the last 3 games, if your number 9 doesn't deliver that right, the whole thing breaks down. So I think he's been excellent in that respect.
And final question, Kieran Kelly.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
A few of the players obviously being out injured, it's given the chance for some of the guys from the academy like Lucas, Michael and Charlie to come up and train with the first team. What have you made of them? How have they handled that? And have they kept some of the older players on their toes a little bit?
Yeah, we've seen more of Lucas. Lucas has been with us consistently now for, I'd say, 3 weeks, and I think he's been very, very good. Been hugely impressed. I saw him play in a development game and really liked him instantly. So I got really high hopes for him. I think technically he's very, very good. And I think he can play a number of positions as well. So I think that's really, really important. And I think his emergence has given us the ability to send a couple of the other lads on loan, which they needed to go and get some regular game time. So pleased with him. I've seen less of Michael, but he's another player that I really like. And probably, again, less of Charlie. But again, he's a player that we like and has been around the group.